Hello and welcome back to TFR eSports Season 24. We are back once again for the F2 division for the final time in Season 24. It is indeed round 12 of the championship, and it all comes down to this. For the championships, both the drivers and the constructors will be settled tonight. There's no doubt about it, because there's no more races after Brazil. So you've got your usual commentator, myself, CJH, joined by my usual co-commentator, the two-time TFR Esports F1 Division champion, Epic the Animal, otherwise known as Logan. Welcome, Logan. Once again, we are here for the finale, and the drivers could be decided here in qualifying if Michael Luis gets pole or Harriman fails to take pole. But it's also the constructors is seriously up for grabs, and this is the F2 division. It always delivers plenty of action anyway.
Yeah, it always delivers action. It's gonna deliver action here tonight. Drivers is all but decided, but that constructors fight is very tasty. So we will have to see what happens. And speaking of the constructors, Schaefer is currently on pole after
He is.
a lot of the drivers have made the first runs. So it may be advantage RB here early on. Hyper Ghost could play spoiler. A lot can happen here. We're just gonna have to wait and see. We still got 12 minutes here in qualifying, so.
Yes, and this is the thing. There's a lot of responsibility on the likes of this man here, Scones, tonight. In that second Sauber, Michael Luis, we know he's going to be near the front. I don't mean there's any doubt about it, unless there's a bit of chaos, because we are expecting heavy rain at the beginning of the main race. But we know Schaefer and JVKP have serious pace. Scones has got to deliver tonight in some way, because Sauber need to recover a 13-point gap to RB. And that might be quite tricky, Logan. But, as we know, the RBs can have a bit of a rough race here and there. JVKP, even himself, joining the session a little bit later there, he has had a bit of a rough patch of form. Unlike his teammate Schaefer, who has stormed up into fourth in the standings, he could still, if all things go his well, he could still finish second in the Drivers' Championship, which is quite remarkable. But we'd say probably on paper RB are the favourites, Logan, but it's never quite that simple here in F2.
Yeah, I would say on paper they're the favorites. Schaefer and Gavukapuk consistently running towards the front. But, you know, Michael Luis wins. That's a big chunk of points. If one of the RBs goes out and Scons has a decent finish, currently qualifying P8, I feel like that could be enough. So we will have to wait and see on that one. That's something we're going to have to tally as the race unfolds. But yes, with the weather coming at the start of the race, it's going to make for a very interesting race. To me, most interestingly, will be when it does dry up, what will be the tire strategy from there? Can mediums make it to ends? Will drivers have to go to hards? Will drivers make the wrong calls? Most likely, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But first things first, we got a drivers' championship to decide here in qualifying, and only 2/10 separating Herberman and Michael Luis, but as Alfie crosses the line in P2. Half a second from Herberman to P1, but a 108.2, there is time to be gained out there. I don't know what times these drivers are capable of in the F2 division, but I do know that there is time on the table to be found. So a lot to happen left yet, with over half the session left to go.
As Raheem pops himself into the top 10, into 9th place, JVKP is now out there on an out lap at the minute, so his kind of preparation, if you like, for the qualifying is a little bit interrupted, as he's the only driver without that banker lap on the board. Luke Toured rejoins tonight after serving his season's worth of a ban. He is filling in for Mercedes. He's getting in some laps at the chair at the minute. I think probably getting himself into sync. But what a lap from Alfie, putting himself currently on the front row. He has to be one of the breakout stars of this season, particularly in the second half of the championship. Has really put in some solid performances to put himself in the top 10 of the standings. We'll see what JVKP can do on this opening run. But I have a few questions for you in terms of the season in general, Logan, and I've not exactly prepared you for this, but we'll see what you can think of off the top of your head. But who has been your driver of the season? We haven't quite had the championship decided yet, although there is a clear favourite. But who's been your standout driver of the season?
To me, it's been like Michael Luis. I mean, for obvious reasons, he's leading the championship, most likely about to clinch it here this season, but it's how he races.
Mm.
He isn't a problem causer on track, and he's a well-rounded driver, so he has all the foundations necessary to get himself into the F1 division and continue to grow as a driver and be one of those many names we've seen over the course of TFR history where they start in F2, they find success in F2, and then they get to the F1 division and continue to grow as a driver and move from being, maybe just at the bottom of the points, maybe move up into some top 10 finishes, and before you know it, be one of those drivers fighting potentially for podiums. We've seen it time and time again, and I feel like he has everything in the makings to be the next guy to do that. As Gavukapo goes across the line on 108.0, beats his teammate by 2 tenths, and look at those potential points on the table for RB. One and
Yeah.
two leading constructors. That's huge for them. There's a lot of names that I would say have a lot of potential going into F1 in the future. Obviously, Haribo as well. I feel like he reminds me of like a Kevin Cow. He's still
Mm.
playing with some assists. He isn't the quickest guy, but with the exception of last week's race, he shows up, races his own race, and keeps things fairly smooth regardless of where he is on pace. As Hyper goes, by 2/1000s Nick's Gavukapo,
One.
but with still 8 minutes to go in the session.
It's 1,000 for my screen. I think if
It's two
unless
on
that's
mine.
really wow, that's crazy. I've never seen that before. Literally, it must be that close. It's showing two different timings, but on my screen at the minute, it's 1,000th in it for pole position here. That's going to be one of the closest qualifyings in TFR history if those laps remain the same. So that's something we'll need to keep an eye on there. But yes, you're absolutely right. It's been a fascinating championship, really, Logan, because we've had different kinds of drivers at the very front of the field. Michael Lewis here, the championship leader, going for the championship tonight. Purple first sector there, just under 2 tenths up already in that first sector. But he has been definitely a qualifying specialist, we have to say, this season. We've seen really quite mixed results from some of those other top guys. If there would be maybe someone outside of the top runners that has kind of surprised you in terms of the performance, who would that kind of be if you were to pick of someone that's not necessarily been at the very top of the pecking order?
I'm gonna give it to Ronnie.
Yeah.
Ronnie has showed that he has front runner pace. He's shown that he has great overtaking ability, and he's made some solid strategy decisions when other drivers haven't in a couple of races. His only downfall has been his consistency, but consistency is what comes with reps. I don't know how old he is, but if he's still a kid, it kind of reminds you of like a Max Verstappen, where the pace is there, but maybe the consistency isn't. So as Michael Luis goes quickest by 2 tenths, a 107.8,
Yeah.
and we're starting to get some times where there's overlap between the back of the F1 field and the front of the F2 field. So Michael Luis there down into the 107s. That's what I expect to see in the F1 division later today in
Mm.
qualifying. So that's a great lap, and that's going to be really tough for Herberman to beat, as he's currently 9 tenths down after his first lap. But yeah, Ronnie, he has the pace, he has the potential, he just doesn't have the consistency yet, and that comes with repetition. So if he
Yeah.
continues to stick with it and gets those reps in, the pace will stay there and probably even get better. And if the consistency comes with it, he's going to be a threat sooner rather than later. And I mean, I could say many other names, but those are some ones that stick out over the top of my head. Gavukapa has potential long term if his pace gets a little bit better and maybe a little
Mm.
bit better decision making with the strategy. Obviously Schaefer as well. I feel like both the RBs are kind of similar. Maybe Gavukapa's the more consistent one, but Schaefer has a little bit more raw pace. Yeah, there's tons of drivers that it comes with reps. You got to be
Yeah.
addicted to the growth in league racing. Go from a midfield runner to a best of the rest runner, to a podium contender, to a race winner, and build it from there. Go up to the next division, and then the hard part is you kind of got to do it all again. You're not
Yeah.
going to go from winning an F2 championship to winning an F1 division. You're going to be right there thrown into the mix, but it's all about keeping a cool head, running your own race, doing the best you can do, and just continuing to fight for improvement. Even us front runners have to do it as well. I've gotten a lot better at this game from the start of the season till now, while the results have stayed about the same. It's just because everyone, just like in real F1, when a new game comes out, There's tons of new information to learn, tons of new muscle memory to develop, and you just have to keep focusing on improving as a driver while maintaining consistency, and good things will happen if you keep a cool head.
Absolutely. I think that is something for quite a few drivers to take in for the next F2 season, because it'll be all up for grabs once again, and it'll all be about who will be right there at the beginning of the next season, because it won't be far away, that is for sure. And with the likes of Michael Luis and others probably, well, they will be moving up, it will allow others for their next chance. We've got 3 minutes left then of the final qualifying of this F2 season. A lot of people are leaving it late here. A lot of people are sitting in the pit lane. We've got Raheem diving back towards the pits very shortly. He'll try and squeeze in one more run. Ledane's here. It's going to be the first of the pack, but everybody else, Logan, it's almost eerily quiet on the circuit as we await these final runs that are going to be absolutely critical. Championship defining, you could say.
I mean, you could say it because it's the truth. This is it. This is the championship for the drivers right here.
So,
Herberman has to beat a 107.8.
and I believe that's Harriman coming out the pit lane now. Well, I'll just see if that is his car. It will eventually sort itself. Or is that Action Wreck, maybe? Can't quite tell. No, we're going to find out soon. It is Harriman. So he's third in the queue. So Ledane's is going to get us underway then for his final lap, unless he's got a bit more battery and fuel in the car, because he will have time to squeeze in one more if he wants to. But there's a few more cars coming out. Jevica P is next in the queue, just behind Alfie. But I tell you, Logan, there's an almighty scrap between that top four. Any of those four could get pole, and don't rule out some of the others as well.
Yeah, it's all to play for here. Let's see how much time everyone has left on the table. Schaefer starts his lap. I'm going to follow on board with him here.
We'll take us with it.
And see what kind of first sector he can take. It's all about getting to full throttle as quickly as possible through the Senna S. You don't want to clip too much of the inside curb on turn one, as it will hurt your rotation of the car. Same thing going into this corner. Don't want to clip too much curb on the inside or outside, because it can cause the rear to over-rotate. Straighten the car out as quickly as possible and get the full throttle. Bomb it down this straight. All you need is a little bit of a lift, even if that on soft tires. Downshift into six. Don't clip that curb too much on the inside. Rotate the rear. Brake earlier than you think here, so you can take as much curb as possible on the inside. Same thing here. Be patient. Get into the throttle car. We're going to over-rotate right there. You can use that curb on the exit. Same thing braking in here. Clip that apex, carry more speed through than you think, because the more speed you carry, the quicker it is to get the full throttle. Coming into this final braking point of the lap, don't want to take too much curb on the inside. He takes a good line through there. That curb on the outside has a lot of stability. Get the full throttle, bomb it down the straight, use as little steering angle as possible while holding it to the inside, because you don't scrub out speed like you do in real life. Cut it back to the inside, up to the loin, and he improves, but only by less than a tenth. Holds P2 for now. But we'll have to see what happens here as everyone's on their final laps. Yes, he does get into the 107s. Two drivers into the 107s now. Herman, he's taking... No, this lap's no good. He's taking another warm-up lap.
But has he got time to make the line? I think he should be okay. But you're right, he's way down. Ledane's also did the same. He had a bit of a rough lap, so is having to go again. He's not improving by too much. Schaefer himself just had a little bit of a poor final sector there, just losing a chunk of time. Hyperghost then is on a flyer. He will be the next to the line, and this is it. The check flag is going to come out anytime now, and Hyperghost...
Herberman messes up into turn one. He clips the grass into turn one. That's the championship.
That could be...
Yeah,
it is,
yeah. Out.
That should be it then. That should be the championship. But let's just find out who's going to take pole. Hyperghost then coming up to the line with the DRS wide open. No. Improves by half a tenth, but it's not enough. Who next is coming up to the line? We've got Schaefer, who's invalidated. Harriman is slow. Tax collector is invalidated as well. I'm scrambling, trying to find someone. There's Michael Luis. Oh, and he's hit the grass. Oh, what a save that was. How that car did not go around that, I do not know. But he should be safe anyways for pole position, because no one else is improving this.
Teamwork by RB! Teamwork by RB. He was down on his personal lap by a tenth and a half. Got slipstreamed by his teammate on the final straight. Burned all the ERS, and he's a 107.7. Where's this pace come from by Gavukaput?
Incredible final lap there. And RB, what a qualifying from them. What great teamwork. And he takes pole But also, more importantly, Michael Luis then will be the F2 Season 24 World Champion. Because this man here, Haraberman, failed to take pole in a bit of a struggling session there, down in 7th place, 1.1 seconds off the pace. And you were saying, Logan, he looked like he'd made a mistake in the first corner. It was a tall order tonight, but it's all done before the race has even started.
Yeah, to be fair, it wasn't really in Haraberman's control at this point. It was all but mathematically taken care of. Literally, Michael Luis just had to finish the race, and he wins the championship. So, but Constructors is still all to play for here, and it'll be interesting to see what the pace is like in the wet weather running, as well as what's going to happen when it goes to dries strategy-wise. So, all to play for here. And I look forward to seeing this race. We got one more banger of an F2 race to close out the season with, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. This Constructors fight is going to be fascinating because we've got such a different kind of element to it. Scones has to pull something out of the bag in this race, but I tell you, RB seriously pulled something out of the bag in that qualifying session. JVKP then takes another pole position this season, and what a lap that was. What great teamwork from Schaefer as well to just give him that toe up the start-finish straight. He is in 3rd place with Michael Luis, the new F2 world champion, in 2nd. Hyperghost is very closely behind Schaefer in 4th, and then a bit of a gap to Alfie in 5th, and then the rest of the order is on your screen there. You'd have to say Haraberman maybe really out of position there. That's not his true pace, that gap to the leader. So we're expecting him to potentially fight through the pack in this race, Logan, and in some ways, with the championship decided, it'll give him a bit of freedom in this race. Although he could still drop behind Hyperghost. If he finishes behind Hyperghost tonight, then he'll slip behind him in the championship. So there's still plenty up for grabs.
Yeah, it's still everything up for grabs, especially that Constructors title.
Absolutely.
As we get ready to go here, the rain is falling, and it is heavy, like a sturdy woman.
Indeed. Look at those conditions. That is proper Brazil kind of rain, because we've seen that before, Logan. We've seen these heavy rain conditions, and we're expecting a bit of a dramatic start here, surely.
Yep, whenever the countdown ends as we continue to fill time.
Exactly. But for one last time this season, we're going to get underway very shortly, and, well, I've seen plenty of F2 season finales here.
Unless if we have a red flag.
Yeah, well, this is the point. We've not had too many safety cars. We had one actually in Japan last time out, but we have had red flags here at Brazil before in the F2 division. And those kind of conditions, we're going to find out then what is going to happen here in Interlagos for one more time. We are underway for the Season 24 finale. JVKP then gets a bit of a rough start there, but he gets it hooked up together and defends that inside from Michael Luis. Look at that, Hyperghost hanging it right around the outside and is ahead. There's an RB off. In the background, though, that is Schaefer involved with contact there, already down into 8th place. Tax Collector says sensational start up into 3rd, and there goes Hyperghost then on JVKP into the lead. JVKP will have the inside line, though. He's going to hang it on, and they're going to get very, very close. But Hyperghost on those wet tyres makes an incredible start.
Luke to red off in the back, and yeah, we got a mix of tires. The wets are definitely faster right now, but the mediums will be faster as the rain lightens up. Difference of strategy here, but the wets are definitely quick off rip. Hyperghost on the correct tire at the time being. English is hard. And we have to see how this develops over the course of the race. I do feel like the Inters are going to be the better long-term play, but I could be wrong here. As Haraberman is on the wet, so if he can fly through the field here quickly. Later this race, we got contact behind with Codematic and Schaefer. Schaefer's going to just barely get there. They're still touching. And we're off to another hectic race here. Are you ready, folks?
He's on the grass, and he's dropped another place there because he's got Ledanes up his inside, although he's got the better line for that corner. He'll hang on. But the intermediate runners are seriously struggling here. And you've got Tax Collector now, an absolute charge. Hariberman as well now, up into 5th place. Great start from him. Right on the tail now of his former championship rival, although Alfie's going to come right back down the inside if he's feeling brave. Goes back to the outside. He's got to be careful to get that car slowed down into the first corner. But action-packed here, and a real mix of strategy. Scones there, wheel to wheel with Luke 2 Red. Luke 2 Red, though, look at the grip on those wet tyres because breezes past. But the thing is here, Logan, if they're expecting the conditions to improve later on, and if they can negotiate those intermediates, they could technically do the whole race on those inters if they survive.
I don't think they're going to do 25 laps on inters as Ledanes now gets through on Schaefer. And here comes Luke 2 Red. Inters are struggling for the time being. Loose on the exit, though, is Luke 2 Red. Wow, Schaefer's really struggling on these tires. The rear is so loose through that uphill long right-hander. It is very tricky conditions out there right now for those intermediate drivers. They just got to play the long game here. They're going to be slower right now, but just keep a cool head, keep it on the track. As I say, two people, absolutely initial D action going on through that right-hander as Haberman and Alfie both slide in the rears through right-hander turn whatever the hell. I'm an American, I don't know my turn numbers.
Well, meanwhile, out front, Hyperghost is way off into the distance, already with a 2.5 second lead over Jevica P, who also has a mega snap there, coming down the start-finish straight. Tax Collector is still there, but that gap has settled down a little bit more. There's a few more gaps forming, but there is Codematic moving to the inside. And yes, Luke 2 Red further down, ahead of Schaefer, and so too Codematic then. Oh, if he can get the car slowed down, he's seriously missed the braking point there. They're still wheel to wheel, but he shoves Alfie out wide, and he's going to get a terrible exit there, and may come under threat from Ledanes soon.
Yeah, he could come under threat from Ledanes, and Codematic ahead as well. Ledanes could be moving up through the field here. Can we have a not awful day for a Red Bull? Maybe?
Luke 2 Red there, why? Yeah. He was forced actually a little bit off track there, completely wiped out all the braking boards on the right-hand side of him there. So for anyone who uses those references, they are completely in the bin because all of them were wiped out as he struggled to get the car to slow down. So an eventful start for Luke 2 Red on his return. But Schaefer then seriously out of position. But at the minute, it's still all okay for RB as it stands.
As it stands is right as Schaefer touches the butt of Ledanes. How quickly are these inters going to come into play, though, is the question I have currently. We're already 3 laps in this race, and the rain is still heavier than a analogy. I don't got A right now. Check back in 5 minutes. I'll come up with some more.
As Hyperghost then continues.
Oh, Raheem around on the last corner.
And thankfully for him,
Oh, he's going to beat you on the curb. He's going to beat you on the curb. Turn left, left. Now back to the right.
There we go.
There you go.
There goes Schaefer on Ledanes down the inside. If he can get the car slowed down, yes, he can. They are absolutely on an ice rink at the minute on those intermediates. And at the end of the day, I realise it's a very long 35% race here. 25 laps is a long way to go, particularly in these conditions, and it might just take quite a bit of time for these intermediates to really get into that window. As Luke 2 Red now has a little look down the inside, the wet tyre runners, they've got to make the most of it at the minute, Logan, because they may have an undercut later on when the conditions improve, but the intermediates, if they can get them working, they'll be way quicker than those blue striped tyres.
Yeah, and Hyperghost isn't really pulling away from Gavukapa in P2 anymore. It's been consistently in a 2.5 second point. Maybe he's gaining a couple tenths, but not near enough to make a pit stop difference if he's going to go to intermediates before the dry running.
And I think we're seeing a little bit of a change now in some of the pace because Codematic here starting to put some serious pressure on Hariberman, who is on the wet tyres there. But then it's really a bit confusing, really, in terms of who is quick at the moment, because the gaps are all starting to spread out between each drivers, apart from this battle for 5th place here, as Codematic is gaining on the Aston Martin. He might pull to the inside, shall I say, and there he goes if he's brave. No. And sits behind Hariberman for the moment. It's a bit of a tricky first corner, that, in these conditions, Logan, isn't it?
Yeah, Luke 2 Red going down the inside of Ledanes, and he's going to get through up in the P9.
There he goes.
And I think, too, As drivers adjust to the conditions and start driving more effectively, that's making just as much of a difference as the tires right now at the moment.
Absolutely. But yes, you've got to very much get it slowed down in that first corner because, as we've seen already so far, I can spec you out. And Code Manic there, aggressive driving, you'd have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I saw. Gavukapa has gained 7/10 on Hyperghost in the last lap and a half.
I think it's intermediates now. Look at the rain. The rain is
Yeah, it
eased
is.
quite a lot. And I think we're seeing a real change in which tyre is the best right now, early on as well. You'd have to say we're only 5 laps into the race. When there's only 2 weather slots, the conditions are already changing here. As look at that, Haribo really with a slide through that corner. Could not get the car to just grip through that left-hander there, and he's wide again out that final corner. Code Manic now should get a good exit. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin once more, but he should set this up, Logan, and might have a little go at the inside.
Yeah, he could. Where am I? Where am I? Right there. Yep. Or around the outside before we even get to the corner.
Wow.
That's going to be that battle done and dusted. No one too close behind. Action Rick within a second of Scones, who's down in P11, which isn't good for the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah. So JVKP there, his fastest lap was 8/10 quicker than Hyperghost. He really is on a charge now, with that gap now down to 1.1 seconds. So the intermediates are seriously coming into play now. Michael Luis as well, starting to catch Tax Collector. What a start, by the way, for Tax Collector. Really charging up the order, going up those 3 places. And yeah, a driver that's maybe been a bit inconsistent in his early days here at TFR, but at the minute, running in a podium spot. He'll hope that can continue for the next 20-odd laps or so. But at the minute, as I say that, a little bit of a mistake, just a wheel on the grass, and has a bit of a moment. And Michael Luis, of all people to have in your rear mirrors, is closing in once more, Logan.
Yeah, and Schaefer has caught Alfie as well, and they're both on intermediate, so that'll be a big overtake for Schaefer if he can get past Alfie. They were both very quick in qualifying.
Well, how about this for the lead? Here comes Jivika P. He's going to the outside, sets the fastest lap, and he's going to take the lead here. If he has a good old run around the outside. Oh, there's contact. There is contact between the pair of them. There's another move in the background. That's Michael Luis making an easy pass on Tax Collector. But Jivika P might have another go here. Gets back in the slipstream of Hyperghost. This is his opportunity once again here. Going towards the Skidoo del Lago. He's going to try and get late on the brakes. There he goes. Right around the outside. No. Can't get the car to grip. Almost runs off the circuit.
Yeah, and Schaefer has got past Alfie for P7 into turn 1 with a clean move as well. So Schaefer's still moving up through the field. He's got Haribo struggling on the wets in front of him. A lot of potential points here for RB.
Absolutely. It's going
Scones
back in their
catching
favor.
Ledanes as well. That'll get him into the top 10.
Yeah. So there's
I
a
think
bit
Michael
of a...
Luis needs to win this race for the Constructors.
I think so. I absolutely agree. And he'll have to get past Jevika P at the minute because he is the one that's looking likely to take the lead of this one. We've got this tasty little scrap here for 6th place now with Haribo really coming under pressure. It's not been a good end to the season for him. But meanwhile, at the very front, here comes Jevika P. Oh my word, he was almost forced onto the grass there, coming down the start finish straight. Nervy stuff there for the RB, but he does take the lead then from Hyperghost, who absolutely sends it down the inside. That is about as crazy as it gets, and he's very lucky, Logan, not to get spun around there.
Yeah, and Code Matic was about to get by Tax Collector, but he dives into the pits. So Tax Collector getting off the wets. Code Matic up into 4th place. Great race by him so far. And look at that, Schaefer has got around Haribo. Oh, Alfie goes wide, just a touch. And Scones is side by side with Ledanes. He's got the better tires. Can he hold on the outside of turn 3 or something? Yes, he can. So we got Scones up into P9 as well as he begins his charge up through the field.
Yeah, the state of play is changing quite dramatically here. Here is Alfie now on Haribo. Can't find a way through at this part of the circuit. It's very much single file, but you can set it up quite nicely to have a little dive down the inside in this next corner. No, can't quite do it just yet. And meanwhile, out front, Jeff Cappi is dropping Hyperghost like a stone. Those wet tyre runners, they need to get in the pits as Raheem retires.
Out. Raheem retires in the pits. So we are now down to 12 drivers. No safety car for that, obviously. Alfie absolutely pushing
Yeah, he just needs to go around him.
Hairberman,
Oh,
he's gonna
no!
go. Oh! Aggressive move.
But of all the opportunities, he picked that part, which I didn't quite understand. He should get a good exit here and should just breeze past the Aston Martin, keep it nice and neat and tidy. Co-Manic now sets a fast lap of the race. We're into the 119s, and they're staying out. They're staying out on those wet tyres, look, and that's an interesting call.
Yeah, they gotta hold it out because the pace difference isn't gonna give them a full pit stop when this rain stops. We learned that in the F1, and oh, they touch on the exit. Oh my goodness. Haberman and Alfie. Alfie finally gets through. Scons gets through and Luke 2 Red. Scons caught and passed Luke 2 Red with like a 2.5 second gap in 2 laps. Inters are so much better at this point. But how quickly is this rain gonna dry up?
Well, that's
We
the
got
thing.
16, 17 laps to go.
Yeah, but also it's going to overcast conditions. So as we've seen in the F1 division before, that doesn't automatically mean it's going to dry up straight away. And it might not even mean it'll dry up, which sounds crazy to say, but without any safety cars or anything like that, Schaefer gets a penalty now for exceeding track limits. There's no guarantee that the track will totally dry by the end. So to be honest, if you're on a fresh set of intermediates now, you might be able to get them all the way to the finish, because you might need them to as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, from here you could. And we might easily get into. I don't think the hards are going to play a role if it does get to the dry.
How about
We're
this?
Be quickly approaching mediums. What do you see?
This is for second place. Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Under
Luke
the
Tourette
brakes.
around. Luke Tourette around on the last corner. Keeps
So
going.
Luke Tourette gets it going again. That's an almighty scrap for P9 now, because he's got Tax Collector in the mix. Oh my word!
Oh, hot! And he keeps it going. Hot into that corner. Action Rick gets through. Diving into the pits is Luke 2 Red.
They've got to come in. They've got to come in, these wet tyre runners. But there's no pace in those tyres anymore. And Hypercoast here at the front is almost 6 seconds now off JVKP. They're just throwing away their race. They might as well get a set of intermediates on, try a bit of an undercut or something on the older intermediate tyre runners. But hanging out on wets, I don't quite get the strategy here, Logan.
Yeah, it's definitely not the call. Going to inters the whole way is definitely the call. Whoa, I don't know what to do or say. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I don't know if I would pit or not. To be honest, you kind of already made your bed. You just got to suffer it out on the wets, I feel like, unless they're really overheating.
Yeah.
But I also don't know how quickly this is going to dry up.
So Hypercoast here under serious pressure, and down the start finish straight. Michael Lewis is going to get him, and there is Kobanek in the background. He might get the pair of them if he feels ambitious enough there. He doesn't. There goes Michael Lewis then up the inside. There's a bit of contact between him and Hypercoast tries to keep that move going there, and he might just lose out to Komanik here as well, who gets a great exit, and he might just get Michael Lewis as well. I wonder if he's had to give that place back, but Komanik now up into second place. What a race he is having, and after a season of disappointment, he could end it on a massive high here, Logan.
Yeah, he's looking very good right now, and Tax Collector is already up in the P9 on those fresh inters.
Wow.
Scons is catching Harabaman. Not something we are expecting. That's big points for Sauber if he can get by him before this dries up.
Yeah, this is a real fascinating point of the race, because these wet tyre runners, they are hanging out here, but I'm just not quite sure this is the right thing to do. Tax Collector is going along very nicely there in P9. We're just trying to keep an eye on his pace, because Scons is quite a bit out the road from him. Michael Lewis here is really struggling to clear Hyperghost, and he's losing lots of time to Komatic. There he goes, Michael Lewis then to the outside, and should go straight past the Ferrari. Yes, he does. And Hyperghost again stays out a tier. He's got good straight line speed there, almost hanging on in front of the Sauber. Has to concede this time around, but it's surely only a matter of time before they have to do something.
Scons is about to get Harabaman, it looks like.
Yeah.
He will. And look at that, 2 positions by Sauber about to be gained here on this lap.
Late breaks from Scons. No. Oh, he's going to hang it right around the outside. Look at that.
Good driving by both, and he respects the space on the outside. What great racing by both these drivers. Keeping it very clean. Harabaman.
He hangs on.
That,
He hangs on just. But if that doesn't tell you right there that those wets are struggling, and I don't know what does, because he is dropping like a stone.
yeah, those wets, they're about as useful as a poop-flavored lollipop at this point in the race.
Indeed, they are not what you should be on at the minute. I mean, Hyperghost still his fastest lap. I mean, it's over 2 seconds off the pace of the top runners at the minute, so he's just bleeding time, and he's clearly hanging on until it dries out, Logan. But with rapidly, as Michael Luis sets a stunning lap there, we are rapidly reaching.
Rain
Well,
has
we are.
stopped.
The rain has stopped.
Rain has stopped.
So, just as I was about to say, it's the halfway point of the race. There we have it. The rain now stops. Now, the big question is here, Logan, how quick is this track going to dry?
How quick is this track going to dry? And is it going to be mediums, or is it going to take long enough that softs could come into play? Uh-oh. How many people are going to go into hards like a bunch of idiots? I'm going to say 6. 6 is the number I'm throwing out. Actually, I'm feeling a 5. A 5er sounds good. Nice little 5 spot. Field is spreading out. Schaefer, actually. Field is not spreading out here. Schaefer has more than caught Hyperghost. He's going to touch the butt just a little bit, just like me with my woman. And we'll see if he can get around cleanly. Maybe he's going to try it. Oh, right here. Nope, he's just going to touch the butt a little bit more. I can relate. Yes, I am talking about racing. And he's approaches the final corner. He just needs to be patient here. Wait for his opportunity. He's got a lot of battery, but we know Hyperghost is passing. Straight line is going to try to dive it here. Risky. Not really playing patient here, but good exit here. The wets struggle while holding the overtake through this little kink of a left. Schaefer's going to switch it back to the inside. Does he have the run? He should be able to get it under braking. What do you see in CJ?
It's very
Tax
close.
Collector's now got around Haribo Man in a very interesting place, the penultimate corner.
And there he goes.
Luke to Red's in on mediums already.
He is, yeah, he's gone for the mediums, so we'll keep an eye on his pace. That was so close there between Schaefer and Hyperghost. Hyperghost trying to defend as much as he could, but he has got it done in the end. It doesn't look good for Luke to Red. I think this is going to be the classic overcast conditions that we've seen before, where it's been raining before, and it takes an absolute age for the track to get to dries. We'll keep an eye on it. I might be wrong, but I've seen this one before, where it's a real slow transition, and there's a move that's actually Comatic lapping Luke to Red there on those medium tires.
Yep, those medium tires, clearly not the play just yet. I mean, just stay out and wait for the soft window to open almost at this point. I mean, you got to pit when the dries are faster, but...
Jacob in. Wow, that is a big call. Leading the race, and he is pulling the trigger.
Comatic stays out.
Yeah.
Michael Luis stays out.
That's huge.
Schaefer. Are the RBs going to split or copy? They're going to split.
Hard tires. Hard tires on the car. DRS is enabled.
I need something to throw. I don't have anything to throw. I did not come prepared. My anger has nothing to be taken out on. He's on the hards for some reason. With 10 laps to go at Brazil.
And a huge risk making that first call. Everyone's coming in now, but like I say, Luke to Red, he's still not got great pace out there. That might just be him, I don't know, but medium tyres on Hyperghost's car, so too for Alfie, Tax Collector, Scones, and Harriman all in. I think those wet tyre runners, they were just desperate to just get in the pit lane. Never mind whatever tyre they're putting on. Hard tyres on the car, and for Tax Collector, so that's 2 for you, Logan. Mediums go on the car for Harriman.
Do we have commercials? Can we take a commercial break?
So,
the
meanwhile,
drives are faster. Luke 2 Red's gaining time now.
He is, and so too Jacob on his teammate. Slowly gaining time, albeit. So the top runners, they're in trouble, you could say, or are they? We're gonna find out. Comatic then dives in the pit lane.
Who's gonna speed? Who's gonna speed?
Neither of them.
Did they learn? They learned.
Luke 2 Red, fastest lap of the race.
They're learning. Here comes Schaefer. They're learning. They're learning. They're learning not the speed.
So,
oh my goodness. Gavukapo leads. How far is Comatic from him? Comatic's in the pits. I'm an idiot.
But the thing is here, that is perfect timing for Javier Capri, you have to say, because he is driving the perfect race tonight so far. Time that to perfection when really it was that transition of the race where you could get that terribly
Both
wrong.
RBs,
My word, that was close from
both
Codematic.
RBs are on hard.
They are.
Why? There's
And
9
Hyperghost.
laps to go.
Oh, it's very close with Schaefer coming out the pits there. Schaefer desperately trying to get out the pit lane. He is then in 5th. And that just shows how much time Hyperghost has lost. He has lost a whopping 18 seconds to JVP with the way his strategy's gone in this race.
Yep, strategy calls are important. I say that as 3 dies go to hards. Why? Why? Who's like, oh man, it's dry. 10 laps to go. Hards.
As Luke Tourette sets another fastest lap of the race. Although I believe JVP should smash that. Yes, he does. 11.9 for him. So we are really ramping up the pace now. And I tell you who else is ramping up the pace is Schaefer, because he is on the tail of Hyperghost here. This is the key battle on the track at the minute. He's got the DRS on the Ferrari. And at the minute, this is a dream scenario for the RBs. He's going to have a little look. Didn't quite go for it. That would have been ambitious. But he'll set this up again, Logan.
The mediums are 1:10.4 by Hyperghost.
Absolutely. But he's the one under pressure at the moment. Maybe saving a bit of ERS there down that straight. And Schaefer not quite close enough just yet. But, I mean, really here, for any dramatic thing to change in this championship, it would require either Michael Luis to somehow pull a result out the bag here and catch JVKP, or something to happen to one of these RBs at the minute. But at the minute, they are doing the perfect race to win that Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, they are. Imagine if they throw it away by both going to hards, though. That would be pathetic. And not in a good way. But Michael Luis is catching Codematic, and they are both catching Gavukapo. I don't know if they'll have enough time to get to him, but Michael Luis 109.9.
And here comes Schaefer on Hyperghost here to the inside, switches to the outside with the Ferrari covering that line. He's going to get late on the brakes. Oh, and they make contact again. How many times has that happened to that Ferrari tonight? But Schaefer makes the move, and so too does Michael Luis for second place. I wonder if there was a little mistake on the exit for Codematic, because he looked a little bit out of shape there.
I had to have been.
But Michael Luis now up into second. So what has happened to Codematic there?
I don't know, but it must have been some sort of a battle, because they lost like half a second to Gavukapo on one corner alone. So I don't know what happened, but Michael Luis, and we're going to have to keep an eye on the timings. How quickly is he catching the leader?
Yeah.
Hyperghost not able to hold fourth against Schaefer on hards. It's surprising to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's surprising to see the tail off in performance from Hyperghost in this race. You'd have to say part of that being the opening stint has contributed to that. But look at this. Schaefer is going to almost drop him here. He's going to have DRS to come back at the RB. But considering he's on the mediums, he is struggling right here. And he will still move up into second in the Drivers' Championship as it stands. But Michael Luis then has that gap now under 9 seconds, but it will take something pretty mega for him to pull that back, even by his lofty standards, Logan.
Yeah, he's not closing the gap at the rate that he's going to need to catch him, but he is definitely quicker. Actually, he lost time there in Sector 1.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But we've got quite a few gaps that are formed now. Alfie, who's just picked up an penalty in 6th, has got an 11-second gap there to Hyperghost, with then a big gap from Scones to the Haas driver. Further down the pack, Hariberman still struggling away there. Tax Collector has lost out quite a lot in this race. You'd have to say, down in 8th, that extra pit stop did not work for him. Obviously, getting rid of those wet tyres earlier on. Hyperghost then is still going to have DRS here to try and fight back at the RB, but he's not quite going to be close enough. Obviously, we know Schaefer has a penalty here. I say he might not be close enough. He might be close enough to have a little lunge down the inside. Yes, he does. There he goes. into third, and there's more contact between these two, and a little bit more there. Schaefer
This is
chucks
getting
it back
bad.
up the inside. I think you're right there, Logan, because this is brewing up between these two. DRS then for Schaefer to maintain the position, but I think that's every single time these two have gone wheel to wheel in this race, Logan. They have somehow made contact.
And they're burning up all their battery to fight each other as well. They're just going to lose more and more time to the cars ahead. And if something bad happens, imagine something bad happens to Schaefer and then Scons gains the position.
Yeah.
They could be cooking something.
Well, this is the thing. If Scones, say something happened to one of those RBs, Scones would then score, that would be 12 points, I believe. So you're basically then requiring Michael Luis to get ahead of JVP for Sauber to win this championship, because that still would not be enough. So they really need a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have the pace.
They are absolutely crying out for a miracle down at Sauber at the minute, and I don't think it's going to happen because we're running out of laps here for them to pull it off here. They already have the Drivers' Championship secured tonight. We knew that before the race even started for Michael Luis, but he has once again put in a great drive, but it's not quite as good as JVKP, that is for sure, because he is controlling this race. He's put more time then on the Sauber. It's up to over 9 seconds, and Codematic here is still with the new world champion, Logan. He could still get a second place here.
He could. It'll be difficult, but it is still possible. Still a lot of developments to be had here, folks. Hyperghost and Schaefer, that could end in tears, as you guys like to say. Tax Collector has caught Scons, actually. Scons not doing great here in the dry running.
Yeah, absolutely. He is struggling. So Codematic, he hasn't had a single podium all season, and his best results coming in Singapore with a P4, and Bahrain the opening round of the season P4. But at the minute, he is looking set for that first podium, but he wants a little bit more than that. He wants that second place just to rubber stamp it. But at the minute, he is just having to sit tight for the moment. That is the same for Hyperghost, but he's had no more shenanigans between them a lot this time around. But Tax Collector is very close to Sconza. You were saying his pace was dropping off, Logan.
His pace is dropping off. Tax Collector catching him. Late use of the ERS, so his run's going to be late here. He's going to dive it down the inside here, and he's going to get the position. So Tax Collector back up in the 7th.
So
this race was really won for Gavukapa on that first stint.
It was.
Knowing to be on the inters, qualifying well, weathering the storm figuratively and literally early on, and just keeping it smooth.
Yeah. He drove
best work there,
brilliantly. Yeah, that was very nice and neatly put, Logan, I have to say. And JVKP has had a win this season, picked it up in Miami, but that was actually after penalties and a whole reconfiguration of the results after that dramatic red flag we saw there. So this is looking like it's going to be the first proper victory for him, as we've got two battles here brewing up, because there's Hyperghost. My word, that was close. Down a start-finish straight there. He gets the move done, but he almost ran into the back of the RB once again, who makes contact. Jeez, that was close.
Bad turn 2 by Hyperghost. Alfie gets another penalty. That will put Tax Collector and Scons ahead of him on track, actually.
Yeah. So Tax Collector is recovering well here.
Yeah, more points for Sauberto. Ding.
There goes Schaefer to the outside at this part of the track. That is bold. Oh! Jeez.
Wow. That was a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for him.
Well, he's going to have another go. He's running out of laps here, and he's got a penalty as well. So he is just probably trying to force Hyperghost into a mistake here. Codematic is very, very close now to Michael Luis. He might have another go at the new world champion here. He's going to have DRS.
More battery as well.
We're on to the penultimate lap of this F2 season. Codematic is gaining on the Sauber. Michael Luis is saving the battery, and he's going for it up the inside. What a move that is from Codematic. That is absolutely brilliant from the McLaren driver. Michael Luis, though, will come back at him down this next straight, has the DRS on Codematic, and he can't do it. That came from absolutely nowhere, Logan.
Yeah, and here comes Schaefer on a Hyper Ghost going down into turn something. He's going to dive bomb it? No, he's not. He fakes it. Look at this. Good exit, though. And he's got a lot
Oh,
more battery. He's going to go inside here. Hammerman gets a
oh,
10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Scones a 3
oh,
seconds
he's
time penalty
around.
contact. Ah, there goes Hyper Ghost. Keeps it together, though, off the track. And Schaefer now up in the P4.
He's letting him past. He's letting him past. So Schaefer gives up the position, obviously conceding defeat on that one there, but he'll have another go. Michael Lewis is very, very close as we are about to start the final lap here. I need to keep an eye on JVKP on this last lap because we've got two almighty scraps here for the final positions towards the top. Michael Lewis then is surely going to breeze past Code Manic here. Code Manic might just have another go down the next straight, although he's hanging on down the start-finish straight here. There goes Michael Lewis then. Code Manic will have to get a brilliant exit to get another go at this one. I think Schaefer is a little bit further back as we've got a yellow flag for something. I don't know what that is.
Lap car getting out of the way. Luke Turret getting out of the way.
And Michael
Scones
Lewis
with the
looks safe.
potential run on tax collector. He might not get
Yeah.
it here, but he does have more battery on this final lap. Double the battery that tax collector has, so Scones might get another position here.
And there goes Schaefer, not quite on Hyperghost. And I think, Logan, there's no move behind as well from Scones on Tax Collector.
Not yet. Not yet. Still a whole lap to work with. Tax collector using all of his battery, though. Go, Scones, go. Now's the moment, bro. It's last lap. You got battery.
However, here comes round the final corner and up the hill now. JVKP, what a drive from him and what a way to finish the season for him and RB. They are going to win the Constructors' Championship for season 24 and JVKP picks up his second win of the season. What a drive from him.
Oh! Scones punts the back of tax collector. Doesn't spin him around, though. Oh, no, it's not over yet. Schaefer could crash.
Well, they're coming up to the line. And there is your new world champion, Michael Luis there, crossing the line as well. And there is these two. Schaefer doesn't get it. He had a penalty anyway. He is fifth, but that does confirm the Constructors' Championship for Racing Bulls. But this man here is your Season 24 F2 World Champion, Michael Luis. Congratulations to him. What a drive, Logan, and what a champion.
Scones does get up the P7 on penalties. Yes, what a champion there. Strong finish, though, you must say, for Sauber. Second and seventh, it was a great effort. But first and fifth by the Racing Bulls. Haberman with a final two races to forget, but still a great season overall. And actually, is the Danes going to get him with that 10-second time penalty?
He might do as well, and he didn't even get fast lap. And
Yes,
look at that.
the Danes are Red Bull with not an abysmal race weekend.
Actually, Rick as well jumped ahead of Haberman just to compound things there at the end of his season. But there we have it, Logan. That is the end of the season. JVKP rounds it off with a great victory, but another great F2 season done and dusted.
It's always a great F2 season. What can we say? It's always chaos. Today was a great race as well.
Absolutely. A different kind of race to what we've seen in the last few rounds. I think it was definitely a little bit more strategic, and those who got the strategy right reap the rewards, you have to say. And RB absolutely reaped those today, and so too did Michael Luis. He did what he needed to do. He pretty much knew he was going to be champion tonight unless something bonkers happened, and that did not happen indeed. He is the new world champion, and a great podium as well for Komanek. I should mention that a bit more. His first podium of the season. What a result for him to finally get that third place spot. And the results should hopefully come up on the screen if we don't have this bug again.
Shout out to Codematic. Great race to end the year.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it seems as though the results aren't going to come up on the screen again, which is such a shame. But yes, that is your lot then for the F2 Championship of the season. We're going to be back for season 25 in probably about a couple of weeks' time. But what a season, Logan, and a great race there just to end it all off.
Yeah, I don't think we had a bad race all year.
No.
They were all great races, a great season in F2, a great championship fight, and it'll be interesting for me to see with the driver lineups next year who's going to help fill out that grid in F1 and how they're going to do in their debut seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And there'll be so many more kind of chapters and stories for next season, with obviously a lot of the drivers returning as well. But we'll keep an eye out for that when that comes around. But your champions for this season, Mike Luis of Sauber, finishing top spot with Hyperghost in the end, finishing second in the Drivers' Championship, with Haraberman dropping down into third. We then had RB winning the Constructors' Championship with Sauber in second. And then I believe it is actually, let me just bring it up. It is maybe Aston Martin in the end, although they actually didn't do too well, so it probably still is Ferrari. But anyways, I'm filling the gaps here. Another great season, and I'll leave the final word to you, Logan. Any final thoughts?
I think it was just a very interesting season. A lot of drivers with a lot of different pros and cons to their game. And I look forward to the long-term storylines of their career. You know, who's going to up their game in F2 going into the next season?
Mm.
Who's going to fill the gaps at the top of the timing charts with these top drivers more than likely moving up into F1? How many of them will be moving up into F1? And how many of them how are they going to do in F1? Did we just watch future top tier champions? Who knows? Stick around for next season to find out, folks.
Absolutely. And thank you, Logan, for joining me on the commentary for the season. Been a pleasure as always.
Oh, it's been a blast.
Redoing the F2 comms once again after quite a few seasons since the last one. But you've been yourself, Epic the Animal, and I've been CJH on commentary, and we'll see you next time around for season 25. We'll see you then. And that's a wrap.